I'm Peter O'Brien, Director of Murray-Darling Basin Futures, and I'm talking today to Dr. Leonie Pearson, a Senior Research Fellow with Murray-Darling Basin Futures, who's carrying out some research into sustainable communities. Leonie, can you tell me about your research into sustainable communities?
Many communities in the basin are facing pretty challenging futures related to things like climate change, changes in water allocation, leaving of people, lots of things. And our research is looking at what are the attributes of different communities that make them more resilient or robust or able to change so they can actually deal with those sorts of challenges into the future. It's building on lots of work that's happened in the past, but it's specifically based on communities that are in the basin.
What are you doing in this research project?
What are we doing? We're going out and talking to the communities about what their futures are, what they would like to see happen. This is developing some scenarios, and then we're looking at their capacity to actually achieve those scenarios. Things like, do they have the leadership, the motivation? Do they have the skills or the capitals, such as the built capital or natural capital, that might actually be needed so they can actually deliver on those futures? So that's what we're doing.
How will your research make a difference in the basin if it's successful?
Hopefully it's going to be able to tell communities how they can actually deliver things like a resilient community, or how they can deliver a resilient future or a sustainable future, as opposed to just perhaps muddling along, which some of them feel like they're doing at the moment.
Leonie, wouldn't the demographers tell us that any town of less than a few thousand people in rural Australia is going to find things difficult into the future?
I would argue that depending on who you talk to, there's a threshold at about 1,000 people. Perhaps there's also another threshold about the diversity of the economy in a community, or perhaps it's about the community and connectivity of the community. For example, Birchip compared to a Griffith or a Leeton. So the different communities have different strengths. Depending on if they work with those strengths or against them, will tell us how sustainable they are into the future.